Tube amp gain
versus pedal gain.
The dirt debate.
We're back. ThroBak Guitar Lounge Podcast 15.
Number 15.
I'm Jon Gundry.
I'm Matthew Quail.
We are here in the ThroBak Guitar Lounge. If you're not familiar with ThroBak, ThroBak is a manufacturer of the finest variety of pickup reproductions, P.A.F, P90 style, P.A.F style, Stratocaster, Telecaster, Broadcaster. Available anywhere. Unique in the world with our...
It's quite the claim, John.
It's true. We have the unrivaled, unmatched, unequaled collection of the most sought after and historic,
unattainable,
unattainable coil winding machines on the planet that we use to make our reproduction pickups, and we have customers all over the world for those.
We do.
So we do this podcast to entertain, enlighten, and Matthew, you're a key part of that.
Thank you very much. I have one little plug for ThroBak. What I find interesting about ThroBak is that you do have this incredible collection of vintage winders. You have all this equipment here, and then when people phone, they say, "Oh, what's the lead time on those?" And we'll say, "Well, it's 1 week or 5 business days." And it seems like it should be we have to make an appointment with the alchemist, and we have to get the whiskers of a unicorn and a
Well, we make them to order, but
the fur of a gnat.
Yeah, we make them to order, but the realistic turnaround for a place like us, it is making them to order rather than churning them out with a looser adherence to the specs, which we have a very tight adherence to the specifications of what we make. Mm-hmm. Takes about a week. If you're an OEM customer or a dealer, that depending upon the size of order, that could be 2 to 3 to 4 weeks. But even those we kind of tend to keep down to 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. But if you're ordering through the ThroBak website, it will ship out in a week. But made to order, so it's not sitting on the shelf.
No.
We, as Paul likes to say, who winds the P.A.Fs and P90s, he will spin gold. Tonal gold.
And if you want to see Paul, you can go to episode, I believe it's 12.
That's right.
He was featured in episode 12 of the ThroBak podcast.
Paul, the perpetual employee of the month.
Yeah. And
we will have more, Matthew, if you're ever not able to make the episode, Paul will be back, and we'll also we're going to do some more videos of Paul at work and show off some of the cool details of the machines that he uses every day here at ThroBak, and some of the ones I use here at ThroBak as well. And I do the Fender related pickups. He does the Gibson style pickups, but enough of that.
Tooting our own horn.
Yes, but that's the purpose of the podcast. But yes, we're tooting our horn, we're proudly so. But let's get on to the real purpose of this, which is to entertain and have something out in the YouTube ether that will entertain. Well, YouTube and podcast ether that will entertain for decades, generations to come.
This is our legacy, John.
And
this is what we're handing down.
And you, Matthew, are going to make sure that happens.
I've told my kids there will be no money, but you can watch these. You can show these to your grandkids.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so we've got the intro there. We'll go over the show here. Where this is going to be our second episode here, back to back Rorschach Riffs. Matthew,
we got another one.
If you're not familiar with Rorschach Riffs, Matthew has put together a composite cacophony of bass riffs. Mm-hmm. This time it's bass.
Just bass again.
Bass again. But so it may appear to be auditory ink blot, but within that ink blot is it going to be 4 identifiable riffs from well-known songs, or is there more?
There's 4. We're hoping they will be identifiable, but there are a total of 4.
And it will be my job to identify what those songs are. I have no idea what they are. Matthew has rehearsed this
ad nauseum
with a high level of skill.
Mm-hmm.
And so it will be just exposed there for me to reveal itself to me. And if I don't do it, it's my own darn fault.
It's kind of like our version of Jeopardy, because the folks at home can play along.
That's right. You will play along.
See if you can stump John. See if you can do it quicker.
So we're going to follow with the ThroBak Mailbox with the Rorschach Riffs.
Right.
We are going to have tools, and this was the normal tools and tips slot, but that is later in the show. I do have a tool that I would will be suggesting people consider adding to their collection of tools. But right now we have the ThroBak Mailbox, Matthew, and I must admit I forgot what the ThroBak Mailbox is on this.
Well, I've got the question here. So the question came from...
Oh, I remember it now. Yes, this is a good one.
So the question is, if you made a T-top P.A.F. style, well, I guess a T-top isn't a P.A.F.
Well, let's just say it's the post,
incarnation.
It's along the timeline that begins with a P.A.F.
Right. So if you made a T-top
with humbuckers,
if you made a T-top with plain enamel wire and a short A2 magnet, would it sound the same as a P.A.F. with plain enamel wire and a short A2 magnet?
This is a very good question.
You get this one a lot?
Well, now, if you have questions, I think someone posted this as a question in the comments for a prior video, and I thought I'll answer it here. This is a good question, and I sort of get this question every once in a while. So, from outward appearances, they're both Gibson products. Mm-hmm. They're both humbucking. They both use a bar magnet of same dimension. So if we're talking about a short magnet P.A.F. and T-tops use short magnets, let's just say the magnet, we're talking about short magnets for both. So a early 70s T-top is going to be a short Alnico 2 magnet, and a late P.A.F. short magnet P.A.F. is likely to be a short Alnico 2 also. So let's say we've got the same magnets. We have a separation of, about 10 years between those two in terms of production. Mm-hmm. So what happened in 10 years at Gibson to make those two different, other than the appearance and with the bobbins? T-tops are called T-tops because they literally have a T stamped on the top of them. Do you know why there's a T on the top of them?
It must be something to do with the molder. I can't remember why.
No, I think it's to signify top.
Oh, okay.
Because
simple as that.
So prior to the P.A.F. bobbin has a square hole and a flat bottom, and the square hole top. The top of it is visibly different because it has a radiused edge on the coil former flange. The bottom of a P.A.F. bobbin has a half radiused and flat bottom. It's clearly different top and bottom to those two pickups. But with the T-top, without the square hole and with both flanges being radiused, you cannot tell the top or the bottom without the T. Or actually, it gets broader than that. The T it has to do with orienting the bobbin correctly left or right as well. So the orientation ideally will be with the T oriented both properly in the same manner for both the slug and screw coils. Anyway, I digress. So you have this cosmetic difference, right? And interestingly, you don't have a material difference either. The very first T-top bobbins are also butyrate. Right? So what could be the difference other than the cosmetics if we're talking about now plain enamel wire and poly wire being the difference. That is a key difference. Plain enamel magnet wire 42 gauge is what's in a P.A.F. Poly plain enamel poly sol 42 gauge wire is what's in a T-top. So the question is, if you put the poly wire in the T-top, or the plain enamel wire in the T-top, or you put the poly wire in the P.A.F., as long as they've got the same wire, shouldn't these be the same pickups? No. There are subtler differences that go beyond the cosmetics that have an effect on the sound of the pickup. One very important difference is in the redesign of the bobbin for the T-top. They also changed the inner coil former dimensions just enough to where the distance between the center of the coil former and the poles is different between a P.A.F. and a T-top. A P.A.F. inside coil former has slightly different dimensions for the slug and screw coils. And this changes the orientation of the innermost winds of the bobbin to those pole pieces. And it's my experience that you get a disproportional impact on the tone of the pickup by manipulating the inside of the coil than you do the outside. And so that difference, although small, on the inside of the coil former between a T-top and a P.A.F. has a disproportionate impact on the tone between those two pickups because of that dimensional difference. So that's one thing. The other factor is that the carbon content begins to go up in the patent sticker era for the pole screws. And that difference in carbon content going up has a little bit of an impact on the treble response of the pickup. The higher carbon content has the effect of making the treble a little bit more strident, a little spikier. This is actually one of the differences that that when we designed our P.A.F. reproductions was a key element to it, because for whatever reason, screw manufacturers have gone to a higher carbon content raw material than what was used in the 50s for P.A.Fs and P90s. I don't know if that is just sort of a result of sort of industrial habit, or if it was a purpose specification by Gibson at the time in the 50s. But for whatever reason, carbon content, unless you instruct otherwise, is going to be higher for pole screws that are made today, which is why we have ours made. But so we can control that spec, and we do that with two carbon content variations over 4 different types of screws that are in that vintage range. We don't even use the range that is most currently used by a larger pickup manufacturer like Gibson. So that difference begins to creep in the patent sticker era, and by the time T-tops roll around, the carbon content is higher than a P.A.F. So those are two important distinctions. One last distinction, which a T-top is exclusively going to be wound on the Meteor 301 or Meteor 481A machine. We have both of those machines. But a T-top will be exclusively wound on those machines. P.A.Fs were also some of them wound on those machines, but they could have also they were also wound on Lisona 102s, the Slug 101 winder that we own that came out of the Gibson factory, the KZ 115 winder, which came out of the Gibson factory, and again, the Meteor 301 or ME 481A. Those two machine variations are essentially the same thing, but there's a subtle difference between the two, which is why I call them out. And I know Gibson used both because there's actually pictures and videos of them or film of them using them.
Right.
So what that means is that you can get a P.A.F. that is wound in a way that a T-top never would be. Because between these different machines, you have differences in wire pitch and tensioning methods. So you get a wider variety of coil formations, wire pitch, just as a function of these four different machines that they used for PAFs. That they by the time T-tops roll around, they're using the one, and the reason they're using the one, the Meteor ME301, is because it's the most efficient of the bunch. It can wind the most fastest. Mm-hmm. So through that 10-year march of time, they have. I'm sorry, I've forgotten one more very important detail. The P.A.F. will have an internal start wire,
right.
and the T-top will have an external start wire. This Paul in the video with Paul, we discussed this because as an important detail, because that internal start wire essentially, again, is one other element that has a disproportionate effect on the tone of the pickup, because that internal start lead is an obstacle at the very beginning of the coil. Without that internal start lead in a T-top, you have a completely different coil shape, even with the same machine at the center of the coil. So from that standpoint, since there were no T-tops with internal start leads, you have this, even if you manage to use the same wire, same magnet, you have the coil former bobbin dimension differences, and you have the lack of an internal start lead in the T-top, but you have it in a P.A.F., and you have a higher carbon content in the T-top. So the answer is no. You can't get there from there. Now they both sound very good, but they sound different for very specific reasons. So, and this is also these very specific reasons are why there is such a variety that we offer of a P.A.F. style reproduction, because those variables that over the 10 years at Gibson work out into what becomes the T-top, they are in full force and in their randomness and variation during the P.A.F. era.
So have you ever, I'm looking at this, the P.A.F. with plain enamel wire and a short A2, that's an ESG?
Yeah, so the closest thing that we would offer the P.A.F. realm to a T-top would be our ESG 102B set. But again, that's going to have plain enamel wire. It will have the same short Alnico 2 magnets that are going to be in our 70 Select set, which is our version of early T-top. But again, it goes beyond the magnet. But that internal start lead is not present in the 70 Select or T-top. All right. I think I've exhausted that subject. Yes?
Well, what do you think tonally they would sound like?
The way I describe it is the internal start lead makes a little bit more microphonic in a good way. The plain enamel wire is I will describe it as a drier, crispier tone. And the poly wire I will describe as a wetter tone. Mm-hmm. both very good tones. Excuse me, but that's how I would kind of make the distinction between the two.
Okay.
And if we're kind of like getting down to those two basic things, and to any difference in coil dimension, coil former dimension, that will essentially add up to a little bit of difference in the coils in terms of inductance and resistance, just because they build out at a different rate because of that starting at a different size. So you get more symmetrical coils just from the get-go with a T-top. And then also one other detail is a T-top is more symmetrically wound because they're all exclusively wound on this one type style of machine. And Gibson, I think, is a cost-saving measure also, realized that they could get a good sound out of a lower resistance pickup. The lower resistance pickup is fewer turns. Fewer turns is less wire.
Adds up over thousands pickups.
It adds up over thousands and thousands of pickups. Okay, that is the viewer mailbox. If you have questions like that, just let us know.
Please
leave them in the comments, and we will we'll try to get to any that seem to fit into the show. Okay, Matthew, Rorschach Riffs. You've got to get your bass here.
Let me get it. Let me get the bass.
The bass is the we're going to, and you are going to we've got a separate shot to so people can actually see your fingers, and we will here. Let me turn the one here you too. I think there you go. Okay, I'm going to take notes because I realize. You think this is cheating?
No, I think it's a good idea. I think that's a good idea.
I realize that by the time after I hear the first, then the second comes, and then the third, and then the fourth, and then I've forgotten the first and the second.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, ready?
Ready for Rorschach Riffs.
Okay, here we go.
Okay. 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 I know them.
You know them now?
But I have forgotten. I've drawn a blank on 3. The name of it. I know the name of it.
You have to go to more college football games or watch.
You hear them obviously. Wait. Oh, good. No. Okay. I have. So, okay. Now, so play it again. I think I have. Okay, is there any hint for the listening audience that they should know before you run through this again?
Okay, well, so
that would be a unifying theme, or is there none?
There's two indie bands, and then 2 hard rock bands, and then the earliest one would be from what? Was it 70, 71?
You're probably right,
and that's the last one. I'll give you that hint. But the first one is a tribute to a dearly departed friend of the show. Can I say that?
Well, we have no idea if he ever heard the show. Friend,
well, Adam is a friend now. But shall I do it again?
Yes, do it again.
Okay.
Yeah. I know that one. Okay, now I must say, Matthew, with the previous Rorschach Riffs, you blended them together into a seamless group. These are distinctly different.
Yeah, well, the other one I played, like I came up with that last one a while ago, and then I practiced it over the weekend. But but this one seemed to be, it's like the rhythm's a little bit different, and I haven't practiced it as much, so maybe that's part of the reason why I'm leaving more. And then some of it you just have to play a little more of, because then it's like, I don't know how much of that do you have to play, or people not know it. So maybe I was giving away too many hints, but
Yeah. Okay.
it is what it is.
Okay. So number 1
Okay.
is Crazy Train.
Right.
Number 2 is Blistered in the Sun.
Yep. Or Blister. Is it Blister in the Sun?
Is that it?
I think it's just called Blister in the Sun.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Just Blister in the Sun, I say. Violent Femmes.
Third one. Yep. Third one is the White Stripes. But I don't. What the hell is the name of the song?
Seven Nation Army.
That's it. I knew. I was. Yeah.
We got the band. You knew what it was.
Yeah.
Which if I'm being fair, apparently that's not bass, but it's guitar. But
yeah. No. So
it's a cool bass line though.
The fourth one, I actually wrote down the wrong song first, but then I realized after thinking about it,
it'd just be like Jeopardy. You'd lose.
I first wrote down Highway Star by Deep Purple.
Right.
But it's not. It's Space Truckin'.
That's right.
Deep Purple, yes.
Yep. Off a Machine Head.
I hope the other one I found harder. Maybe I'm just getting better at it, Matthew.
Yeah, you're anticipating now. You know a little bit, but I think this one was a little easier.
Okay, well, you're gonna have to.
Up my game.
Up your game, I think. Try to get stuff that maybe mix genres. You think you could do that? I don't know.
Like what kind of genre do you
think?
Like jazz?
Frank
Jazz.
Sinatra and
Metallica.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's let you put your bass away there. We'll get back to the regular show here. We're going on to the Guitargument. Did we even talk about the Guitargument?
I wondered if we
didn't even talk about the Guitargument.
I wondered at the beginning, did we preview it?
We didn't preview the Guitargument.
That's not like us.
The Guitargument for this show is a big one. I've written it down here just to make sure we get this right. It's tube amp gain tone versus pedal gain.
Well, we're going to plaster it everywhere with the what do they call this stuff that when you promote the show? What's that thing called?
Clickbait title.
The clickbait title.
Yeah. So tube amp gain versus pedal gain. The dirt debate. And we're going to demonstrate this. I feel like we should start the whole dang show over. We're going to demonstrate this with a playing demonstration. We have the if you saw the last show, we now have an amp cam.
See, of course, beautiful amp here.
So it's Matthew's live hand there.
I'm going to try to do this.
So that's a 1979 Deluxe Reverb with that I modified a reverb on both channels, and it also has a switch for turning off the negative feedback loop, which is off because I just like it that way. But we will test this amp with a Nobels ODR-1, and we will test it with it cranked up to what we hope is glorious tube distortion territory through an aux box. All this is through an aux box, otherwise we'd get kicked out of the building that we're in. But the aux box works great for this. Mm-hmm. So anyway, we will precede this with that will come in the cool down. Oh. First comes the Guitargument and then the cool down. And the cool down we will demonstrate this. And which side of this are you taking, Matthew?
I'm taking
the Guitargument.
I'm going to take the amp overdrive is
overdrive is okay. And I will defend the pedal, the virtues of the pedal. Okay. Let's start 5 minutes now.
5 minutes starting. Okay. The most important thing that everyone really knows is that you just need a really good amp that has got some power to it and then you turn that sucker up, and then you just let it rip.
It's been that way since time immemorial.
You reduce any type of signal loss. You have a good cable, guitar, good amp, good pickups to the amp, and you crank that thing. Neighbors be damned. And there's a certain tone that you get with a cranked amp. What?
What is that tone?
What?
What is that? What is that tone?
Well, other than severe hearing loss.
Before you used to be able to hear it, I guess.
It's only a memory after a while, but when you're young, it's life itself. It's like blood coursing through your veins. It's power. It's everything. I mean, Eddie Van Halen said it the best. He said, I don't use distortion. I've never used a distortion. I just plugged it into the amp and I turned that thing up.
Yeah, but he used a Variac though, didn't he?
But that only gave him a better tone.
Yeah, but
by controlling the voltage.
Yes, but he was manipulating the distortion with this. So I don't know. I guess it's a fair comparison, but he was not fully pleased with amp distortion without manipulating it via that.
Yeah,
right.
But he wasn't using a
silly little 9-volt battery powered item
from back in the day. So there's you try to defend it, but
okay, I will defend the lowly pedal. Okay, so I think that the key to good guitar tone, if we're talking about distorted tone, is not only the sort of smooth, organic distortion that one expects from a tube amplifier, but also a control over the headroom that allows the low end to sing as well as the higher notes. And this is the downfall of tube amp distortion. The lack of headroom. Not only that, you have the hearing loss, which you just, we hope, mimicked. You have control over the volume. You have with an effect pedal. You have controls over degrees of distortion without having to go adjust your amp. So if you were in a cover band and you require multiple levels of distortion, or even distortion from that is it has the characteristic of a different amps, you can accomplish this with different pedals, all while being able to control the volume and control the headroom without the downfall of the volume and headroom loss of a tube amp that is cranked. And the other factor is if you have a tube amp that you're cranking all the time, you are going to shorten the life of the tube amp, of the tubes in the amp, possibly shorten the life of things like output transformers. It's just harder on the amp. Now, the argument, I can already hear the argument, it's going to be that these older amps, they're made to be repaired. It's true. But why age it prematurely, and why not take advantage of the tools at hand, which are the effect pedals? The test we're going to do here, we're going to use a Nobels ODR-1. We have the ThroBak Overdrive Boost, which we're not using in this test, but this is such an effective pedal that it is considered a important tool in the toolkit of studio musicians that have used it on hit records. What do you have to say to that, Matthew?
I think they've compromised their manhood using such things.
So you think that this is something that they've gone far away from the essence of what the distorted tone is.
Well,
So it's up 5
it's
minutes.
up. They want to have their cake and eat it too, but they're afraid of the real thing. That's what I think.
You think so? Okay. Well, we're going to go to the cool down here, and so.
But the nice thing
And now
about this,
again, we're just playing rolls. You know, I have to do it. You do too. You may be like you may only like pedals. I may only like a distorted amp tone.
well, the great thing about
We
the cool,
cannot reveal this. This
No.
is otherwise would not be an impartial argument.
the great thing about the cool down is now you can use, as I would like to say, science.
Then science would be
Science will be
sci-
the
Science
arbiter.
will be the well,
Arbitrator.
Yes, we will. The arbiter.
Arbiter, and then the good viewers at home can decide for
that
themselves.
amplifier right there. And I have one reason for the amp cam is that we will be. I got to find a purpose for all the amps I've got. So we'll have to do this more than once.
Yeah, you have to have multiple amp cams.
So okay. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to have a humbucker guitar here. So I've got a 1967 ES-335 that's got ER-Custom, ThroBak ER-Custom pickups in it. This would be arguably my favorite ES-335 because of the combination of pickups and guitar. And it's just, again... I like everything. I don't offer anything I don't love, but there are some guitars that just match well with a certain kind of pickup, and it's individual to the guitar itself. So we're going to play that. This sounds very good distorted, with sort of blues distortion, blues classic rock distortion, and Matthew's going to play along on bass. I will play a little bit clean, so we will know what the bass tone is with the Nobels ODR-1, and the pedal is right there if you want to see how it's set. And then we will set up to have the no pedal and just a cranked deluxe reverb straight, and see what that sound is. The amp is on the vibrato channel with the volume right now. It is slightly above 2. I don't know if you can see it in the amp cam shot, but and treble and bass are at 6, which is a popular setting for such things. So let's set that up, Matthew. Okay, we're back. And I'll show. So here's the my 67 ES-335. Right now, it's just clean. I had some worked out there, but nice clean tone. That's just the clean amp at about a little over 2. Anyway, you get the idea. So we'll turn the pedal on right here. That is the Nobels Overdrive ODR-1 going, and Matthew and I will play the sort of throwback theme song that we have on other videos, and let's get to that. Oh, hold on.
I haven't got any.
Oh, sorry, I muted the wrong microphones, so we'll try that again. Okay, Matthew. We are going to take a quick pause here, and I'll
Monkey with the amp.
Levels, and we will try it the good old-fashioned way with no pedals.
The way God intended.
We'll be right back. We're back. We have adjusted the amp so the Nobels pedal's off, and you're confirming that, Matthew.
Confirm that.
You well, let's turn it on just for a second. Well, it doesn't seem to make much difference now that it's cranked up. Okay, we turn the amp.
Confirm it's at 4.
The amp is at 4.
We had it as high as 6, but
it
seemed too much.
Yeah, so it sounds good, but you're getting. Well, we'll just play it. This is just a deluxe reverb on 4 with the volume controlled through an aux box. We just did nothing but turn it up to 4 and did the amp up to 4 and turn the ODR off. So let's play the same thing right now. Okay.
What would it sound like on 10?
we could try it. You know, I thought about one thing. I'm adjusting. Part of it is there's a compression in here with the aux box,
mm-hmm.
and so that may be adding its own sort of distortion to it also. Because I think I do have I have that set up. So maybe this test needs redoing, but it's actually confirming what what you hear when if you did this in a room.
Mm-hmm.
With a deluxe, I don't know that the deluxe reverb is the best amp for a cranked amp tone. I think it's I think a deluxe reverb really sounds best. And any sort of like black panel and later amp, they seem to work particularly well with a pedal. If this were a tweed amp,
yeah,
it'd be. I think you'd have a little bit different story going on in terms of the kind of low end distortion you get out of it. But so yeah, you're losing definition and you're getting that sort of amp fuzz overtone that's very cool, but
is it flubbing out a bit?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're just getting sort of this the low end distortion is just taking over the articulation of those notes. So, okay, well,
do you want to?
You want to put it on 10? Okay, sure.
You just play, and then
okay.
It's at 4.
I'll adjust the,
and I'll do it to 6, and then
okay, sure.
If we want to go higher.
Okay, this is 6.
Yeah, this is 6.
Yeah, I mean, it's beginning to sound like a fuzz. I mean,
that's 8.
It's really not much different. Okay, I'm going to turn the line level down a little on this.
That's 10. Oh, wait a minute. There's one more.
There's 11?
That's 11.
I mean, it's a cool sound, but it's like it's limited in its use. You know, put it back to just a little over 2, and let's see what that is.
That's like 2.5.
I had it about 2 1/4, 2 1/4 before.
And good.
That's a neck pickup. Okay, so we'll turn the pedal on. That is. That's the bridge pickup there. Neck pickup here. Much more usable, honestly.
Yeah, but where would you be with all that, without all those crazy days in the 70s where everyone just had amplifiers without pedals?
Well, I do think. Okay, so
It is much more manageable. I agree.
it is much well, and it sounds. I mean, when you're actually hearing the volume equalized out, I think it sounds better.
Yeah, it's more pleasant.
Well, not even more pleasant. I think it just sounds better as far as like individual note
Yeah.
separation.
Yeah.
And sort of like in the context of a song, this is better. But the experience, what's the experience though you had cranking an amp as a kid? Like if you would be like, wow, yeah, that's it. It's like, because not only is it like you're getting a very cool distorted tone, you're getting the amp kind of breathing with the guitar just from sheer volume, but you're also getting the experience of getting pummeled by sound.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I do think that a Fender black panel and onward amp through Silverface, if you're going to play distortion, it's very often better with, if it's like a deluxe reverb. I just think it sounds better with with the right pedal. But okay, we are going to put these away, and then we will go on to Matthew's musical musings. All right, Matthew, we are going to the Matthew's musical musings, and I have no idea what your musical musings are, Matthew.
Okay, so put up those two.
You want? That's right. You want?
So
I take that back. I did know that you wanted me to.
So put up the picture of this Billy Joe Schaefer, and then put up the picture of Tim Ferriss. Do you have that?
Yeah, well, you wanted Billy Joe Schaefer. I can switch between the two here.
We'll just put up Billy Joe's picture and then put up Tim Ferriss so everyone knows who we're talking about. So we're going to talk about Billy Joe Schaefer, and we're going to talk about Tim Ferriss, guitar player.
In Excess.
From In Excess, songwriter, composer, whatever.
Which do you want us to leave up there?
Put Billy Joe up because
okay.
I like them both, but he's Billy Joe, so he's older. He gets to. So Today is Saturday, August the 16th, and little known fact, maybe only known to me and now to our viewers, but more people knew this. They share a birthday. Tim Ferriss's birthday is today. They're separated, I think, by 18 years or so. But Billy Joe Schaefer's birthday is today. But they also share another unique, and I would say, what would you say?
They both have they both been on trail for shooting people?
No, they haven't been on trail for shooting people. They share a type of injury that for a guitar player is kind of your worst nightmare.
Billy Joe Schaefer's missing fingers.
Billy Joe Schaefer, when he was 11 years old, had a sawmill accident and he's no longer with us now, but he was missing two fingers on his right hand. So I think that was probably even before he started playing guitar. But Tim Ferriss in 2015 had an accident with a winch on a motorboat, and he had his I believe he's right-handed. He had his ring finger severed.
Oh my gosh!
When he was aboard this boat that he was renting, and it severed his finger. It was reattached, but it isn't going to work properly, and it doesn't work properly, and he's had problems with it, but I thought that was weird.
Horrifying.
It's like every guitar player's. I think it's you think about it, and I was thinking about it too. It's like it's interesting.
I don't want to think about it. Let's stop now.
Well, but it I mean, I grew up on a farm, and we had a lot of machinery and a lot of moving parts and a lot of equipment that was a bit suspect, to say the least. So you always
it's a risk.
And my parents did a good job of trying to, keep you away from stuff. But there's a lot, there's chains, there's chainsaws, there's augers, there's all sorts of stuff. But I was thinking this from a guitar player's point of view. It's like, that's your worst nightmare. But you have two guys who were born on the same day who've suffered this. That's kind of weird. But
how did you find this parallel?
I looked up on the calendar thinking, is there anything going on? What can we talk about? And then I thought, I don't want to talk about Tim Ferriss. I mean, I liked In Excess, but, and I actually saw them play with Sans Michael Hutchence. Unfortunately, it was another singer. They were very good and everything, but
you think that maybe there's an astrological reason for the digits being removed? So what who
knows?
Should we consult the stars to see what so August 10th is a what? I'll turn my phone on here. I'll pause it if needed, but maybe we can get deeper into this, Matthew. We can find out that there's actually
we can predict that something's going to happen.
There's actually some cosmic reason for this. Let's see.
We could be like Network, and I remember the movie Network. We could have Sybil the Soothsayer, and then she could tell any guitar player who was born on this day, you want to stay away from sharp implements. Maybe that's every day. But I thought it was interesting, too, how guitar players are a lot of them, like Jeff Beck, very interested in fixing cars. And
okay, they're Leos.
They're Leos. It's a Leo. I knew that.
Okay.
I thought you were talking about this.
Okay, let's see.
The height of the moon.
Well, let's see. What are the... I'm just going to type in... Are Leos prone to digit removal? It's prone to accidents. Particularly with guitar.
What's it saying?
There's no strong evidence.
No strong evidence. Well, I think it's a weird,
maybe
fluky
it's just
coincidence.
alcohol.
Possibly there could have been. I don't think with Billy Joe when he was a kid. Please God, he wasn't drinking.
Well, he grew up in a bar.
Did he really?
Yeah, his mom like managed a bar. Pretty sure.
I like Billy Joe.
I think he literally grew up in a bar. Like when he got home from school, that
was his home.
Yeah.
But getting back to the digit removal that you don't want to talk about, what is your worst nightmare?
I don't want to. No. No,
we have to cleanse.
No.
We have to cleanse.
No.
I'm
not going.
Hang on.
No.
We'll cleanse the. This is how the Irish do it. So you have to knock on wood, either this or on a guitar.
Yeah. No.
Here.
This is not
and
going
then
to
you
work
go.
with me.
No. We'll bless ourselves.
No. This is not going to work with me. No. I'm going to.
You're not superstitious.
I'm going to avoid. Lumber saws and ropes on boats.
Ropes on boat. Winches. I think it was a winch on the boat.
A winch on a boat.
Near an anchor.
So I'm already set. You don't need to worry about me.
Okay.
Yeah. This may be your last musical music. This is not.
I'll get back more to the music.
Not very
but
musical.
I thought this is too weird. Like I had to talk about it because that's too weird. You have two guys born on the same day and they had some kind of weird. Maybe it's more common than I think.
No. Well, okay. So no. We're gonna go tools and tips now. I don't want to hear any more about any of that. Okay. Okay. So the tool, the tip is more of a tool. Well, it's a tool this week, Matthew. And this, oh shoot, where's my note for this? Oh, good, I have my note here. So this is, I'm going to suggest for those who are adventurous enough in the guitar with their guitar, repair and such, that they get a little more adventurous and get a tool that is maybe associated with more advanced repairs. And that is the wooden cam clamp.
Never seen such a thing.
This. Oh, good. It's going to focus.
There you go. You see the name? There it is.
Yeah. This is a wooden cam clamp so wooden cam clamps are named that because the mechanism by which they clamped on things is a cam that's captured by this little pivot point here that extends the jaws down. So you basically you get some pressure on it with this on this bar here, and then you tighten it like that.
Be careful.
Yeah, I'm making my fingers out of there. But these are these have traditionally been used for instrument repair, instrument construction, for a couple of reasons. One is they're very quickly positioned into place, and the other is you can add this cam allows you to make it very tight, but it's much less likely to over tighten it than you would be with a clamp that has a screw, a metal clamp that has a screw mechanism to tighten it. So you have the advantage of quick positioning and clamping, and you also these often have a very deep. I got kind of stuck there. They have a very deep sort of draw within there, so you can use these for gluing bridges on an acoustic, or whatever might require a deeper clamp with a guitar project. You can use these. So I purchased these. Now you're not going to find this brand because I looked all over. I will give you a brand that you can use. That a couple of them. But this says these. I bought these in the 1980s.
Wow, you had them a while.
So I had some guitar repair books, and they had them in there. I think people generally made these themselves, maybe. But I purchased these from Elderly Instruments in the 1980s. I don't know even how I found out they had them. I think I went to the repair department and I asked them if they knew where you could buy them. And they said, well, yeah, we actually sell them if you want to buy some. And these were made by, it appears to say K.J. Darmstadter, maker, Charlottesville, Virginia. So I bought a bunch of these for me, and I bought some for my grandfather. And when he passed away, I got his toolbox, and they were still in there. And these usually have cork as also. This is one reason they don't mar the finish, or mar wood associated with guitars. They usually have cork cushioning the clamping surfaces. These actually came with leather, which is much more durable than the cork. And I like them for that reason. But I could not find any. All I found now have cork, which is traditional anyway. But I think at some point people often have to replace the cork on them. But I've never had to replace the leather on these. So if you were, even if you weren't going to do like glue a bridge back on a guitar, acoustic flat top guitar, this is a very good clamp to use if you just wanted to put some pressure on quickly put some pressure on a fret that you were going to reglue. Because you can set it that quick, and you could put it right on the peak of the fret there and the neck below, and you could very carefully tighten it down, and these jaws are not going to mar the rounded surfaces of your neck if you're very careful about it. But you would not comfortably do that with a screw mechanism clamp. That was metal, but these are wood. So these have a 6-inch depth to them. This works very well for flat top guitars. But they make them in a variety of sizes. So, but I have found these on Amazon. Stuart McDonald sells these also. So you can, but I'll put in an Amazon link. And I wasn't even aware of this brand. I think it's a very old brand, but it's called Clemsia brand, wooden cam clamps that are made in Germany. And I'll put some link to those. But if you're looking for them, like on eBay, they have them on eBay used because these are traditional clamps that have been used for, probably for. I wouldn't be surprised if hundreds of years they've been using these. But some variation on this, but you look at those places if you're at all interested, and it's a sort of item that if you get one, you'll find a use for it, and if you kind of become more advanced in your desire to do guitar repairs, you know what to get, and you're experienced with it, and you'll be able to find more. So I'll leave a link to the Clemsia clamp, wooden cam clamp. And again, if you're going to look for them, look for either wooden cam clamp or cam clamp. I searched both and got different results on these platforms. So anyway, that is my tool of the day or of the episode.
Sure.
Okay, Matthew, we have you've horrified me with your musical musings.
I'm sorry about that. I'll try to stop doing
that. We have tortured a tube amp into tonal, what we hoped was tonal nirvana, but I think it is. I think it's just turning your. I think it's turning your amp into a fuzz pedal. Really? Maybe
sounded like it.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. It doesn't sound bad, but it's like it's now a fuzz pedal. Okay, we didn't do our typical teaser of the Guitargument, so we may tack that on to the very beginning of this episode. But that we will find that out. Well, you'll already know that at this point if you watched it. But, okay. Matthew, do you have any thoughts about this show? Can you find more uplifting musical musings that
Yes, I
don't
will.
require digit removal?
That was I couldn't change. I couldn't leave that
Or
one.
don't involve.
I mean, it happened, but hey, happy birthday, Billy Joe, and happy birthday, Tim Ferriss.
Billy Joe's got a number of birthdays.
Well, he'll always have a birthday now. But Tim's got a birthday today, so hope you're doing well.
Maybe he watches the show.
Yeah. Down under.
Okay. All right. Thank you all. Stay tuned for the next one.